there public comments on non-agenda items? Online, I don't see anybody.
I'm gonna open up the meeting.
Hmm?
I'm supposed to vote. Say hi.
Okay, yes. Call this meeting of the Manchester by the Sea Select Board to order. Kathy,
Here.
Jeff,
Yeah.
Brian.
Here.
And
John, yes.
Okay.
I was channeling my inner Kathy.
Thank you. Glad to have somebody who's paying attention.
That's the extent of my,
That's the extent.
Okay. The first item on the next item is the chairman's report, which there is none. And are there any questions on the action item? Any action items that we should take up?
Nothing for today.
Okay. In that case, the next item is the National Grid hearing. Mr. Solacey, do you have something?
how many things do I have?
Oh,
Okay, I move the select board open the public hearing for a national grid petition number WR 312898848 to install underground PVC conduit on Highland Avenue.
Second.
We're gonna start these things.
is there someone from that? Yes, thank you.
Oh, not sure is a good place to stand or
Whatever.
wherever. I'm John Jenkins. I'm a designer out of Beverly, and I'm representing National Grid for the installation of approximately 200 feet of 4-inch PVC conduit from manhole 173 to manhole 174 on Highland Ave.
And I assume you talked with Chuck Dam about the state of this road and.
I haven't personally. I think the designer who worked on it, Mike,
Mhm.
spoke to them. I know that this one's connected to a customer job. There was one that was petitioned for maybe at the end of the summer or early fall for Highland Ave. They had an upgrade, and in order to complete their job, we need to have some system improvements on Highland Ave.
Just a question, you gotta dig up the road to do this, to put this down. How long does this take?
I'm not entirely sure. I haven't spoken with the contractors personally.
I mean, it's not a busy road, but
Not a good road either.
it's not a big road either, that's true. How much does, in your experience, what is something, I mean, 200 feet away is just like 1 or 2 days or just like a week and a half?
I think it's just 1 or 2 days.
Okay.
What's up?
All set.
I move the select board close the evidentiary portion of the hearing.
Second,
John
Yes,
and Brian,
yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Ann says yes.
Kathy says yes too.
Thank you, Kathy. Is there another motion?
yes, there is. I move the select board approve the National Grid petition 31248 to install underground PVC conduit on Highland.
Second.
Yes,
Ann says yes, Brian
Yes.
and Jeff.
Yes.
Okay.
And Kathy says yes.
Yeah, out of whatever.
Could we ask a question?
Sure.
Bernie Pine.
This is Bernie Pine from 7 Highland Avenue. So it runs pretty much the length of my property in the middle of the street. And I didn't know if you were going to snake it through from one manhole to the next, or whether you were going to have to dig up 200 feet of hot top to lay this.
The distance between the two manholes is 200 feet. So they will be digging the whole street up to that, well, that hole.
Okay. The people at the top of the hill, if it comes pretty close to down the middle of the street, may have a little bit of a difficulty to, get by the excavation down to the main street at the bottom of the hill.
I mean, I'm sure that's something that the contractors will be able to address when they set up to do the digging.
You think there'll be a policeman on duty?
Yeah, they
Yes.
almost always have, well, they actually always have a policeman.
We,
Police
we,
detail.
we will require it for this job because of the width of the road.
Okay, and do you have a date as to when it's going to start?
It depended on the petition being passed before we can go to scheduling.
Okay.
Do you
Okay,
guys-
I guess that's pretty much the only question that I had.
Once it
Thank
gets
you. I'm
scheduled-
sorry I didn't recognize you earlier.
Maybe if there's, I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if the contractors have to, if they're blocking off the road.
Well, I'm sure we'll be notified a few days before to set up the details. They'll have to get a road opening permit from us anyway, so we can put something out on social media when the job is scheduled to start, and that there'll be
Mhm.
a detail officer there or a detour or some.
There's no
There's
detail.
no detour, but you might have to wait to have stuff move and get by, but.
Okay.
So you can't say, I mean, along those lines, is this, excavation such that people who are living along it won't be able to get out of their driveways when it is open in front of their, their homes? You don't know that? Probably not.
No, I don't.
I've got to believe they will take all of this into account.
Yeah.
That has happened before and,
Yeah,
residents have said, for tonight, can't put your car in your driveway, 'cause it's not gonna be able to.
yeah,
get out.
because they won't have access to it
Yes,
the next
whatever.
day.
Okay.
So go park down below.
We can require them to plate the trench if it's
Yeah.
multiple days, so there may be some interruption between certain hours, but
Mm-hmm.
people will make sure that people have access to their in and out of their house.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item is a
To
tree.
get in close the hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I move that the board close the public hearing. All in favor?
Yeah.
John?
Aye.
The next item on the agenda is a public tree hearing.
I move the select board open the public tree hearing.
Second. Jeff,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Ann says yes.
John, yes. Yeah.
Yes,
Kathy, yes, sorry. Is does Chuck want to speak to this or?
Yeah, he should be on the call.
Yep, I'm here. I can speak to that. Can you hear me?
Yes.
How you doing? Chuck Dam, DPW. So I put together a little bit of a memo, but just to kind of bring everybody up to speed, we have technically 2 trees that we're looking to remove on the Lincoln Street well project. In support of that project, we're going to have a new building as well as new piping and updates to existing piping even. So there's a lot going on kind of a very small site. We have 1 tree at the front of the property near Lincoln Street. It looks like 2 because it's a double trunk, but I guess technically it's 1 tree. And then there's 1 further into the site where we're going to have some piping going in and out of the new building that also will necessitate a tree coming down. I forget the exact number, but I put it in my memo. We have 5 replacement pin oaks and something like 27, I believe, white cedars for replacement trees. So that'll help with the screening and also to make up for the loss of the 2 trees. what else to say? We did look at other alternatives, but as everybody knows, it's a very tight site already. We have existing buildings, well infrastructure that we have to work around, but there's also Sawmill Brook, as well as the buffer zones that are associated with the brook. And then there's also the FEMA floodplains that we have to stay out of. So again, a lot going on for kind of a small site, and there's really not a lot of opportunity to do a whole bunch more. So we thought these two trees. We do have requirements in the contract documents for protecting other trees on the site that are close to being needing removal, but we thought it would better to try and preserve those trees, and we're not looking to remove those, and we'll have people on site to make sure the contractor doesn't damage those trees while they're being while they're doing the rest of their work. One other thing that I'll mention, just because I didn't think to put it in my memo, but these are gravity pipes, so there's not really an opportunity to directional drill or make them go deeper. Like, they have to be at a constant grade to make the all the math work on the hydraulics for the different piping and the different requirements for those pipes. They're also, one of them is an 8-inch ductile iron pipe, which isn't really something that you directional drill. And the other pipe is a smaller 4-inch HDPE pipe. That one is a sanitary sewer line. We're required by code to have a bathroom in the new building. So we need to make sure that we, again, meet those requirements, as well as separation requirements for the pipes in the yard. So that's why the footprint, it had to expand a little bit to the property line. So other than that, I think we've done everything we can to mitigate the issues, but these two trees need to come down to facilitate the rest of the work for the project.
From the board.
Not yet.
What is the schedule for installing these pipes?
So right now we are out to bid to get general contract pricing and subcontractor pricing. We want to get that ahead of town meeting so that we have a accurate number to provide at town meeting. So that process will take place over the next month. We still have funding requirements coming out of town meeting, so we need to have those approvals, as well as issuing bonds or going through the SRF program for bonds, loans in that direction. So that will take a couple months, and then our intent is to have the contractor on site in the fall to do the work. However, these trees in particular, if they're approved for takedowns, I'll probably handle that separate of the general contract, so that it's basically done ahead of time. But the pipes themselves won't be installed until sometime in the fall or later.
Kathy, did I miss anything from you?
Just a question. We received a late memo from the Friends of Trees, and I just want to make sure we address the question that was asked in the memo. If the DPW looked specifically at alternate methods of, boring for the two pipes that are needed.
Right. So I think I did get a chance to see that memo before the call. So that's why I said the equalization tank that's in there, that has to go where it's going. So I think that was acknowledged that one has to come down. That's the one closer to the roadway. The second tree that is requested to come down is further into the site, and there's the two sites. We didn't look to, like I said, we didn't look specifically at directional drill. These are gravity pipes, so we can't directional drill at grade, and directional drill is really not an option for an 8-inch ductile iron pipe. So I think she was looking for 4 to 5 feet of clearance below grade. That's just not going to be feasible with the work that we're proposing. I think we could. Yeah, there's just really no way around that problem. I would quibble with some of the numbers that were presented in that note, but it's just not feasible for the constructability.
Is there anyone here who would like to speak? Yes.
I'm Jody Morse. I live in 11 Jersey Lane, and I am the president of Spencer Baptist Trades. And I first of all, I want to thank Chuck, because I thought his materials, which unfortunately I didn't see until this afternoon. So And so I apologize for getting my memo out so late, but it was very helpful to see the plans, to see exactly where these pipes were, where the trees were. I looked at some of them online earlier, a couple of weeks ago, but I think Chuck did a great job explaining what the issues are. I'm sorry to hear that the gravity feed is going to cause us not to be able to do horizontal directional drilling. But since I have the floor here, I just want to spend about 2 minutes to tell people why these heritage trees are so important. I'm worried about 2 of them, Chuck, not just one in the back. If you dig a regular trench right past that second tree, I think you're going to end up killing it in a couple of years. As far as replacement trees, a tree that is as big as these trees are, almost 40-inch diameter, it would take 230 trees to replace that tree. And even then, it would take between 50 and 80 years for them to have the benefits of the ecological benefits of a tree that size. They're called heritage trees for a reason. We try to save them. There's directional drilling. There's, you can blow all the dirt away from the roots and try to, I'm not suggesting this would be in this case, we would do that. There are so many things that people do today to try to save those trees. So that's why I wanted to put this out here. There may be other solutions. It doesn't sound like there is in this case. And I hope the town and Chuck, I know you do this every time we build something. If we have trees like that on the property, we should do everything we can to save them. They are literally irreplaceable and financially and ecologically. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that. And I thank you for considering my suggestion.
Thanks, Jody. I just say I don't think technically these are heritage trees, because that would definitely be a different conversation in my mind. But I take the point. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Chuck, could you explain, our tree policy says that any tree over 32 inches in diameter is a heritage tree. Why do you say these are not heritage trees?
I'd have to look back at the notes, but I thought they were below whatever the requirement is. So if it was 32, I thought it was larger than 32, to be honest with you. But when we were discussing it with the engineer, they said they were not heritage. They specifically said they were not heritage trees. So I took them at their word. I didn't go back and look at the policy. I'm sorry. But it doesn't change my point. We really can't do it, but I thought they weren't.
Mr. Morse.
I'm Gar. I live at 11 Jersey Lane. And I just have a quick question. Is there a driveway that drives into this site? And did we consider putting these pipes in the driveway?
Yeah, so there is a driveway. This is, we're talking about the Lincoln Street well in between the 2 schools. So, it's right there for everyone to see. There's actually a ton of existing piping within the driveway and actually going towards the brook a little bit. So like this kind of corridor that where these 2 pipes are going in are really the only buildable spot on the lot. So, yeah.
So there is a driveway.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Would that not be susceptible to digging up and putting a pipe in?
Like I said, there's several existing pipes within the driveway already. So that was what they thought, 50 years ago when they built the original well, was this driveway is a great spot for pipe. They did not envision PFAS requirements, 50 years later that would require a whole new building and new piping associated with it.
So there are so many pipes in there, you just couldn't put another couple of pipes in.
Right.
Okay.
We can. The plans are on the website if anybody wants to take a look. I put the link in my memo, but yeah, there's quite a bit going on. You'd be surprised.
I have one other very short comment. Sorry. Treat the protection during construction. I know that's in the specs. Just let's make sure that the trees that are remaining are going to be okay. Thank you.
Yeah, 100%.
I just have a question, Chuck. Well, I can see that the tree closest to the street certainly is in part right directly where you want to put the tank. The tree that's further set back, I guess the pipe goes fairly close to that tree in the root system. Is that still a problem, or given your gravity feed, yeah, it's still a problem, or can that be looked at more closely?
Right. So the second tree that we're asking to take down further back is kind of directly in the line of the two pipes. So there's no real way to save that one in those terms. We just don't have enough room to move it in out of the root system. So I take that, I agree that it's not going to happen. There's a second tree back there that's actually in the picture, but not marked for removal. That's just a few more feet back. And so, our approach here is, on the plan, we show two very straight lines going directly, into the site and, taking 90-degree angles. In reality, when we go to build that, we will try and skirt the root system to the extent practicable and possible. And we will, do the alternative methods. I think, there's obviously air spading and, you can dig a couple holes and you can, push a pipe through, but that's a lot different than directional drilling, 100 feet into a site with no access pits. Like we really need to show it as trenching. So I take everybody's point, but we will do everything we need to do to make sure that second tree isn't, coming down or dying in a couple of years. And, I think that's where we're trying our best and hardest to make that happen. The other tree that we're requesting to come down, that's just not going to be possible. So, I could tell you we're going to try to do all those things for that tree, but I would agree with Jody that it's likely coming down in a year or two, because we couldn't really move it.
Well, I agree. From the picture, you really can't tell if that second tree is sitting.
Yeah, on the plan, it shows it a little bit more offset, and in the picture, it's just kind of the perspective of the picture.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
There any further? Are we ready for
A motion?
Mm-hmm.
I move the select board remove the two red oak trees at 40 Lincoln Street.
Is there a second?
Second.
Kathy,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and yes.
And John, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for the work you've done, both you, the Friends of Trees, and Chuck, to try and minimize the damage that has to be done in order to meet PFAS requirements.
Right. Yep. Thank you all. We'll be in touch.
We need to close the hearing.
Yes. Okay. I move that the board close the public hearing.
Second.
Jeff, John,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
and yes, Brian,
Yes.
and Jackie.
Yes.
Okay. The next on the agenda are action items, and the action item is the request from North Shore Pride to raise the transgender flag on the town flagpole in commendation of International Day of Trans Visibility. And we have already heard a lot from many of the people who are here. And I would like to keep the discussion of this well focused. My preference is that we raise the flag on the day of transgender visibility and not for several days before and several days after. There is an alternate petition in our packets that makes it clear that this is a piece of government speech reflecting the opinion of the town of Manchester as represented by the select board, and not just a response to a request from an individual or a group. That is important because if we allow flags to be raised on that pole that do not reflect the government speech, then we have to allow everything on it. And that, I think, would be a reason to take the pole down.
I agree.
Anyone on the board?
Not that this long statement, but well, and it speaks to government speech.
Mhm.
All right, and that that I think we have a procedural problem here.
Mhm.
Okay, that as it relates to the legal question of government speech. In the case, is the government expressing its own message, or is it allowing private groups to express theirs? By shifting the discussion to include the more than 1,000 anti-transgender measures before legislative bodies, You have changed the focus in the request from social to political. When a municipality chooses to raise a flag associated with a specific contemporary policy debates, particularly one connected to ongoing legislation, public policy disputes, and competing viewpoints, it signals government's endorsement of one side of the debate. Government buildings and flagpoles represent the authority and neutrality of the state, and the flags flown there has traditionally symbolized the nation state or broadly shared civic values. Issues surrounding gender identity, transgender rights, healthcare policy, school policy, and athletic participation are currently the subject of active legislative and legal disputes across the United States. In that context, displaying the transgender flag on an official government property moves beyond general social recognition and enters the realm of political expression. While individuals and private organizations are free to express support or opposition to such causes, government institutions are generally expected to maintain viewpoint neutrality in matters where citizens hold widely different views. For that reason, the decision to fly the transgender flag on a municipal flagpole can reasonably be understood not simply as social acknowledgement of a group, but as a political statement by the government itself. And on the issue that remains actively contested in public policy and law, we must stay clear of such ambiguity. Basically, flying the flag can be construed as the town's tacit endorsement for or against any particular legislation or cause.
John?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment or two. Research this a little bit. I think there's a good deal of information about the pride flag out there in terms of communities that fly it. There are numerous communities that do. Some have codified that in their various regulations. With regard to the trans flag, there is not so much. Communities are pushing that around right now. My impression is that any community that has dealt with this has largely been large. So even though there are small groups that might have an interest because they're large communities, there are quite a few people that can voice their opinion. I think that the communities that have flown the trans flag, and there have been several, Boston, Salem, among them that we know here, and there are a few, I think, out in Western Mass. Largely that's been because there's been a strong advocate for discussing that issue and making some decisions along those lines. I know that here with Pride of North Shore, Hope is a very strong advocate for that. And I think that she's the type of person that wherever she goes, she will advocate for that. But there are 351 communities here and she can't be at all 351. But she happens to live here. And so we are taking this up because there's a strong advocacy for that. With regard to towns or communities making deciding what to do, all of these issues, we have to decide what we're going to do. There's a group that thinks this way and there's a group that thinks that way. And this is not something that you can kind of sit in the middle on. Lots of issues you have to decide what's going to happen. I tend to agree with the chair in that this is a day of recognition. And so that's what it should be. And I know that there is thinking that there's going to be some sort of a small celebration for putting up the flag, and I would advocate for that and take it down the following day.
Kathy?
Yeah, so as my position is the same as it was 2 weeks ago. I support, the proclamation that we now have in our packet. To me, it's just stating that we support transgender individuals and they should feel safe within the town of Manchester. Regarding the argument about government speech, I think it was pointed out at our last meeting that the federal government has been very pronounced in its rollback of rights for transgender persons. And so I do think it's appropriate at the local level for us to take a vote and say we either agree or don't agree with that, whether or not we support or don't support the transgender community. I don't see anything wrong with that falling into the category of government speech. My concern is always still operationally. I think we do have a looseness to our flag policy that, do we want to be raising a different flag every day. And I don't think we have tackled that question yet, and I do think we should. But for this particular item in front of us tonight, I support the proclamation and I support raising the flag.
I would like to, I believe that Manchester's personnel policy specifically includes, not by name trans, but gender, sex, identity, that these are protected characteristics and do not, the town does not discriminate based on. Yes, Hope.
Thank you. Hope Abuchi, 2 Putnam Court. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate your thoughtfulness in terms of your research on this topic. Through you, Madam Chairperson, I would like to ask Brian, to your point, Brian, what is the differentiation between the progress flag? Through you, Madam Chairman, you referred to it as a pride flag.
Sorry.
The progress flag, that's okay. The progress flag, what's the differentiation between raising the progress flag and raising the trans flag in terms of government speech? We've through this board, you've already approved that now on our 6th year of raising the progress flag. So that's my question number 1. Question number 2, I would like for someone in the board to please read that proclamation so that we know what it is the board has already decided on. Number 3, I would ask, as has been referenced in the last, or 2 weeks ago, I apologize. 2 weeks ago, the select board's meeting, you mentioned and clarified, I think through select board member Kathy, that only one other flag has ever been flown on this, I'm going to use quotes, commemorative flagpole, which my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, was paid for by the taxpayers of Manchester by the Sea. So if only one other flag since the last 2 years in which the select board decided to then pose the townspeople with paying for the commemorative flagpole. What then there is the issue with flying it for 5 days, as was my application, given the severe, and for those of you who aren't familiar with the trans communities, the severe persecution and prosecution of this community, this transgender community.
Thank you.
Those are my 3 points. And if I could, through you, Madam Chairperson, also offer other comments if needed. Thank you.
Okay. To take it from the middle, the proclamation is, whereas the town of Manchester by the Sea is committed to promoting a more equitable community where all people are valued, respected, and able to live openly and authentically. Whereas Transgender Day of Visibility, observed annually on March 31st, is an opportunity to honor and uplift transgender and non-binary individuals and to recognize their dignity, humanity, and fundamental rights, while also acknowledging the discrimination, barriers, and inequities they continue to face. And whereas fostering dignity, respect, and understanding strengthens our town and affirms our shared commitment to inclusion, safety, and belonging for all residents. And whereas recognizing Transgender Day of Visibility, the town of Manchester by the Sea affirms that diversity enriches our community and that every person deserves to be seen, supported, and valued. Now, therefore, the Select Board of the town of Manchester by the Sea does hereby proclaim March 31st as Transgender Day of Visibility in the town of Manchester by the Sea and encourages all residents to join in recognizing this day by fostering dignity, respect, and inclusion for transgender and non-binary people and all the people of our community. And
To answer your question,
yes,
Thank you.
the difference is we moved it into a political forum now.
How did we? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You asked me a question, let me answer, please.
Thank you.
Okay? By citing over 1,000 what you call anti-trans legislative, of which I think less than 24 have ever been passed, okay? You've moved it to a political discussion. You call it anti-trans, other people might call it pro-woman for sports, okay? There's two sides of this particular coin, okay? You can give me the look, but the reality here is that there are a lot of people, okay, that don't agree that it's anti-trans, okay? That they're thinking about its family values, okay? It's women's rights, all right? So as a result, it's political, and that means it becomes government speech. We have voted for the pride flag because we're helping you celebrate Pride Month. But once we move this into a political forum as opposed to a social forum, then we have other issues. And that's my stance.
And your final point about why it shouldn't be a week since we don't use the flagpole much. There were other issues that caused us to put up a separate flagpole having to do with the local use of the flag in the Legion. And the honor roll. And since it is a day and Progress Month is a month, you put the flag up for Progress Month. I think Progress Day is the appropriate time. And I will hear from other people before you respond, please.
I agree with you, Ann, and I want to thank you for putting all this together. The only thing I'm going to say is that I have a trans nephew. I've watched him go through the struggle. I have my own opinions of the trans situation, but I'm going to leave that aside. The way I look at this is supporting a minority group, and if we can, I get Brian's point, and I appreciate your point. But I'm looking at it from a point where if we can support a minority group and make them feel part of the community and fly a piece of cloth for the day, then I'm fine with that.
Yes, please.
Yeah. In fact, I don't feel like I'm here. Actually, I'm going to speak about the flag or the flagpole.
Please identify yourself.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Steve Hamilton, 51 Forest Street. And first, I want to thank Hope because she brought this to our attention as a community, and I think that's a good thing. So thanks for making that request. And for considering, and you all for considering raising the flag on the Transgender Flag Day, March 31st. After having the opportunity to talk with some of you, Brian, thank you for that time, and others who I know I see in this room, I've had a chance to reflect on that issue of raising flags on the town flagpole. I do know one concern that I heard was, what about the next request? And then the next request. And while I know these requests can be viewed as a challenge, I also believe they can be looked at as positives that actually come from the decision to have the town flagpole that we spent money on and using it to support various requests that might be received. First, I think rather than creating a challenge, it's nice that our town took the time and made this space to make a town flagpole that helps us recognize the wonderful people and families that exist in our town of Manchester by the Sea. I see these flags as a way to celebrate, honor, and recognize the many positive things that are important to our town and its very residents. How nice to have a place to recognize town history or celebrate town accomplishments. I can imagine using it for school program successes, fundraising efforts, and other groups or individuals that are making up our town, maybe a United Way flag at some point in time. I also know that seeing a flag that one might not be familiar with provides an opportunity to learn, ask questions, and have discussions that can shed light on our town's history, successes, interests, and neighbors. As long as the flag is positive, and perhaps that's a policy, but as long as it's positive, and I will say this trans flag was never meant to be political. It was always simply meant to say, here's a group of people and let's celebrate them. They're a minority, just as we have flags for other things. And so why not say yes? I personally appreciate the educational and community value that's grown along with these practices. As a result of this recent and past request, I've had the chance to meet and talk with some individuals who I might differ from in opinions, but when I actually took time to talk with them, we could find more that we had more in common than what seemed to keep us at a distance. And as some of you shared, talking is positive and both in neighborly ways, that's a good thing. It's a really good thing if we talk to each other and we don't just protest each other. So if this brings us together through conversation, that's a good thing. And that's what helps us grow as a town in positive ways, where we can all contribute and we all are welcome. So rather than saying no to this request or others and the families and individuals it represents, and it sounds like you're being supportive, which I really do appreciate. I hope that this is one of many flags, use that flagpole, celebrate and acknowledge all that we have in this town. I think that would be a wonderful thing. And I'll just say one last thing about flags that I thought, our American flag is just a wonderful example of a flag that for us is positive and represents the ideals of a democracy and those who have fought and to create and defend those ideals. That's what that flag out there represents. We fly it all the time. I have a son who's about to be deployed for the 4th time over into the Middle East, okay? That flag means a great deal to him and to our family, as does this transgender flag. It represents a different part of our family, and to raise it on one day to show support for that part of our family would be a wonderful thing. And appreciate your time and debate all of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Hi. Good evening. My name is Kimberly. Forgive me, I'm so very nervous talking in public, but this is very worth fighting. Members of the town council and fellow residents of Manchester by the Sea. My name is Kimberly Kahan. I live at 12 North Street in Manchester. As a mother of 5, a grandmother of 6, I have skin in the game when it comes to protecting children. I'm here to strongly oppose Hope Bucky's request to hang the trans flag on our commemorative pole during the Trans Week of Visibility of March 31st to April 5th, which overlaps with Easter week, the holiest time for many. This pole was built only after we fought against the veterans pole for the LGBTQ flag. Now she's seeking special privileges, bypassing the required advance application and town meeting proposition. That's unfair. More critically, gender confusion is harming children. U.S. childhood suicide under 18 in the 1980s was about 1,000. Skip to 2020. We are well over 2,000. We are more than doubled. Trans and gender confusion youth face suicide attempt rates up to 26%. As big share of these tragedies, nothing else has changed except pushing that kids might be in the wrong body. As a town, by pushing this ideology, could be sued. Picture a confused 12-year-old whose parents agreed to puberty blockers, driving through town to see the trans flag and think, my town supports me. So they start the drugs. But at 16, they realize they want to be a boy, yet their penis stopped growing the day they began those poisonous drugs, leaving it the size of a little boy. Or imagine a child who feels compelled to cut off their breast only to regret it at 18 and blame the town flag for pushing them. They might, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Take your time. Thank you. As a town, by pushing this ideology, picture, okay, they might seek retribution for what we impose. We are seeing schools nationwide sued for promoting transgender policies. Towns could be next. Schools push this down our kids' throat. Now our towns are pushing it down our throat. When will this insanity stop? No to the flag, no to special privileges, no to Hope Bucky, no to harming our kids. She should bring local voices, not outsiders. Thank you. Let's protect our town and children.
Thank you. I think you probably didn't know that we were planning to reduce it from
I
a week
did
to a day.
hear you, but I need my voice to be heard. I'm still against the one day. Did you hear what I said?
Yes,
You
I heard you.
understand there are so many schools being sued. And a child driving through this town on that one day could be a cutoff of breast that little girl's gonna want when she's 18. This is insanity and everyone knows it. I am begging you to do the right thing. This is unfair. She didn't go through the proper channels. And then
Thank you.
let it go.
Thank you very much. She did go through, her name is Hope Wakuchi
I know.
and not Hope.
Well, I don't know her name, but I am telling you, she did not. She was supposed to, we were at the last meeting 2 weeks ago. So this is a special privilege. We're having this. This is
If we
unfair.
didn't show up, probably would have gone through last week.
No.
This is very unfair.
Because there was no
No.
proclamation.
You didn't even let anyone pick the month of June. The last meeting, you just said, yep, you get June. And I'm like, wait a minute, I was gonna apply. I thought, no one even put deadlines for this thing. This is very unfair.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Who hasn't spoken first? Okay,
Through you, Madam Chairman, Hope Wabuchi, Putnam Court, to Brian, just to clarify through you, to Brian. It's not a political, if I can make that correction.
We have a conversation.
Just one. Because the progress flag that you approved, that is an anti-LGBTQ. That's the reason why we raised it. It's the same reason why I'm requesting that we raise the trans flag. The other point of clarification I would like to make is, will the United States flag be removed since we already have it on the town flagpole? And will the trans flag be the only flag that flies on the commemorative pole?
Yeah, that's what happens.
that's what happens.
Okay, so it'll just be the transgender flag.
Correct.
Okay, thank you for your consideration.
I think you and Brian have an irreconcilable difference, and I don't want to spend any
No,
time.
I would have more than happy, as Steve knows, to sit down and talk to anyone, okay? Over coffee, I'll have this conversation with anyone. This is not the forum for this conversation.
I'm just saying to you through the chairperson that they're the same reason why we fly the progress flag as we fly the trans flag.
Thank you very much.
Same reason.
Okay,
Madam Chair?
yes,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just have a suggestion. I think I would recommend that we have 2 votes tonight. One is for the proclamation, and then the other one is for flying the flag. I'm not sure if there would be any differences in the voting, but I would like to at least give select board members that opportunity.
Is there any other public comment?
I don't see any hands, but. Okay, does anyone on the, what is your,
No, I'm set. You want
yes,
two motions, I suppose?
I'll read the first one. That's on my agenda here.
okay,
Okay, I move the select board proclaim March 31st as Transgender Day of Visibility and sign a proclamation to be presented on March 31st.
Second.
Are we splitting this in 2?
yes.
Yeah, there was no mention of flag here.
Okay, fine. All right,
It was,
yes.
Okay, I'm ready for a vote. Kathy,
Yes,
Jeff,
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
Anne says yes.
John, yes.
Okay, and I will move that on Transgender Day, March 31st, we fly the transgender flag on the commemorative flagpole.
Second.
We'll make sure we come back on Furry Day next year.
Kathy,
yes, yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Pushed out.
Brian,
Yes.
Anne says yes.
And John says yes.
Okay, thank you all very much for your concern. Thank you for being here. Thank you for speaking.
I think we won one day. Our children should be first, not people with no children. Do you understand? She has no children.
I have no children either.
Well, then you should not be pushing this on children either. That's the story. People with no children are pushing it.
All right, we're done. We've already voted. It's done.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. The next is the CPC. Oh, sorry.
Just.
The annual town meeting, review of the draft warrant and schedule a special meeting to close, sign the warrant. Okay. Yes,
All right, I can walk us through this part of the meeting. So likely we'll need a special meeting to vote and close the warrant and sign it. It'll be a quick one that we can get scheduled, but it'd be over the next week. You know,
Okay.
so the warrant has to be posted on April 6th, which is our next regular scheduled meeting. So we have to do it before that. We also are considering doing one warrant that combines both the town meeting warrant and the town election warrant all in one. That helps the clerk's office as far as setting one deadline for registration to vote. So I'm working on what I sent out to you doesn't have that second part on there, so.
we have traditionally had them separate because it wasn't clear that there wouldn't be changes from the town meeting. So that if we approve the warrant in advance of the town meeting, it might include questions that are moot.
Well, we have to, the warrant for the election has to be done 35 days before the election. I don't think we have 35 days between
Okay, fine.
town
No.
meeting,
No.
yeah.
That's been a problem every year.
Yeah.
So you have to
Okay.
assume certain things are gonna happen.
Yeah.
So we could start with looking at the warrant if you wanna do that.
Yes.
So that's part of the
Mhm.
packet I handed out and emailed. So the warrant as it sits right now, we have a total of 28 articles. All of your standard articles are in here that you see on an annual basis. We have quite a few debt exclusion capital items that I'll walk through really quickly, and then we have 5 articles that came from the planning board. 4 of them are zoning. And we have 3 citizen petitions, one of which is zoning as well.
Excuse me, Tony?
Yes,
Which of the many emails in my inbox would the warrant be?
Yeah. You sent it.
Yeah, I think this is a handout. I didn't see that.
I sent
like-
it,
Right here.
I sent it last week.
Thanks, Brian, not real helpful to me.
One second.
No one's ever
Kathy.
accused me of being.
Okay,
Um,
is it from
Sent on the 9th.
the one from the 9th? Okay,
Yes.
excuse me. All right, continue, I'll find it.
This was the email where I talked about the decision not to include the short-term rental issue as an article after speaking with legal.
Thank you, I'll find it, thank you.
All right, so one large item for us to talk about tonight that I do need some direction from the select board on is Article 5. So that's your capital article. One thing that we don't have included on here yet is an additional $350,000 from recreation revolving, so it wouldn't change the balance of the budget for the senior/community center design. We have conceptual design completed. We had a very productive meeting with the Masons on the closing of the property on Friday. We're extremely close, and I would suspect and hope that when we have our special meeting to vote on the warrant, that we're hopefully, having an executive session to vote on the closing of the documents. And as far as fundraising is gone, I know that there's been a soft rollout on the fundraising, and there's been some commitments. I don't know how much fundraising has been committed to yet, but it has started. Those are two important things to note, and I think that are important for the finance committee to know. If we're able to use the rec revolving account to do the schematic design, it'll speed up the process by which we would have full-on fundraising, and then potentially, bringing this capital item to town meeting either in the fall or the spring of next year for construction. So we do have to decide whether we want to include this. My recommendation is that we do.
For those people who may not, the Parks and Rec revolving fund currently has more money in it than is required to run the programs each year. It's a very successful program. It's been profitable. And it has about $350,000 that is just sitting there. And this is an acceptable reason to use it because what has been the senior center up until quite recently is now going to be a senior and community center, and will be used by Parks and Rec. That's mostly for the two people who haven't been following this as closely as all of the rest of us.
Tony, I'm not sure I understand the question. Are you saying in order to use the Parks and Rec money, we must include it in this warrant?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a reallocation, right?
It's an appropriation. So I would include it in Article 5 with the other capital. So the funding source column, the far column on the right would say recreation revolving account.
Is the 350, is the fund never goes below a level of which money it needs? This 350 is beyond that for any given month?
Correct.
In other words, it goes up and down, I know, depending upon the programs.
Correct, yeah.
But the 350 is in excess of that. It's always, I don't know what the minimum amount it needs, but.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
My understanding is that the rec revolving account has always generated more funds than it needs to operate, and it's been used in the past for items like this.
And there's enough of a safety net there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the excess. And 350, is that going to be all that is needed for design, or is that just a running start? Or what's the story? I don't know how much design costs.
I believe the design could be between 325 and 350.
So it is a
It should
convenient
cover it.
fit here. Is this what you're telling me? It's a very.
There's more, I mean, I wouldn't feel comfortable taking more out of the rec revolving account. We could, and probably still have a little bit of a cushion there, but I don't think it's necessary.
Okay. And this is required, A, for design, and B, to accelerate, or let's just say, keep on a schedule that is the fastest schedule toward.
Yeah, this will allow us to get hard numbers. Right now, we're speculating as to.
Yeah, from contractors.
Right. So are we looking for schematic, or are we going out for construction documents at this point?
This will include construction documents.
So question, how can we go out for any documents or hire any contractors if we don't own the condominium yet?
Oh, that's.
Well, yeah,
I just heard you say that.
I wouldn't, this would be for town meeting anyways. I suspect we'll own the building prior, by the end of the month. So this
Okay,
is
so-
included on the warrant for the April town meeting to be spent July 1st and on.
All right, so let me put it this way. I could support adding it to this list if we own the building we own the condominium by town meeting. If we do not own the condominium by town meeting, that, in my estimation, would be an inappropriate item to add to our list.
We could, our moderator is here and can perhaps explain how we cut something from
Yeah,
the
you can
capital.
easily cut. So if you arrive at town meeting and the deal fell completely apart, or for whatever reason, you didn't have the purchase and sale in hand, then you could make a motion to amend Article 5 to pull out the 350,000, and that would not be any problem whatsoever.
Lead one for you.
Any other?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay, I don't think
Did you
we.
include it then?
Yes.
Okay. So Article 8 starts our large capital items, and in the path, there's another, we'll go through another document that kind of speaks through.
What do I,
You have the spare one.
uh,
I just
no,
need my-
I've
I
got,
think it's under.
I've got an
I
old
think it's
one.
under that
Oh,
packet.
okay.
Oh, it's in the stack.
There you go.
Sorry.
This other handout that I provided, we'll go through that next, but this really kind of talks about all these capital items and what their cost impacts are. And all the financial analysis that we've gone through. But Article 8 is our Lincoln Street well and PFAS improvements at 16.5 million. Article 9 is 4.1 million for Tappan Street, full construction. That's water, sewer, storm drain, underground electrical, pavement, sidewalk, and possibly gas work by National Grid as well. That doesn't, the 4.1 doesn't include the cost of gas work, but that may happen at the same time. Article 10 is $5 million for the Central Street culvert. As a reminder, this article is a backup to potentially a backup plan. We have BRIC money that expires in April. There is effort at the federal level to try to get extensions on that grant money. We're also at the end of this week applying for an MVP grant for $5 million from the state. We won't know probably until July if we get that grant or not. So hopefully we don't even need to, if this gets approved, hopefully we don't have to utilize it. The reason we're trying to get the approval for this is based on the construction schedule of the culvert. You really need your permits and funding in hand by April in order to meet your September of the same year window. So if we're not going to be doing this job this coming September. But hopefully we can have it all ready to go next September. That's why we didn't want to wait until next year's town meeting to ask.
So Tony, are we working the federal angle through Congressman Moulton's office? Because he just published some infographic within the past couple of weeks about all the towns in the district that got money and we weren't listed. So I'm curious what kind of advocacy we're pursuing.
That was community project funding. We did apply for, I'm not sure what was applied for in the past, but we just applied for community project funding through Congressman Moulton, and we will be applying through Senator Warren and Markey's office as well. But we're pursuing an extension request repeatedly through MEMA and FEMA to go through the standard process of requesting an extension, and we haven't gotten a response on the multiple requests that we've made. And then there's a nationwide, there's a few different attorney generals from a couple of different states that have actually filed litigation to provide this extension to municipalities that were in the BRIC program. I have no idea what the schedule of that looks like. So yes, we're pursuing every avenue that we can, honestly. 1.9, Article 11 is $1.9 million for dredging in the harbor. Article 12 is $2 million for the rotunda at Tux Point.
Go back to 11, 1.9, that's matching,
1.9.
somebody's matching somebody.
It's
50-50.
Yep.
So this is a 3.8 project. Okay, and when this goes out to bid, in other words, whatever the number comes out to, that's what the match is. If it's 1.75, then the match is 1.75 or whatever.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Okay. All right.
We're hopeful that between the rotunda, between dredging, the Reed Park float expansion and Morse Pier, that we can put all those projects out together under one bid. They all have their own permitting and they're at different phases of their permitting process. They have different funding sources. But we're hoping that once all those 4 individual funding and permitting comes together, that we can put it out to bid all as one project. And that would potentially save the town a lot of time and money.
Do these projects all have to be done on or about the same time? It's not, none of these will be done until 2027
They're mostly fall, winter.
of 2027.
Possibly 26.
I think what you'll find is that when you combine, instead of have 4 different projects with 4 different sets of general conditions, okay, and overhead items, by combining it as one job phased, that's what I think we're looking at. It'll be the same product phased over time, but the general conditions might come down considerably in that respect.
And
Yeah, once you bring all your equipment in.
well, see, that's why I wondered if you bring it in, but it's phased such that.
Yeah, they might,
Well,
they
that-
might hit you with
that-
mobilizations, but everything's here, they've already got, as far as the overhead is concerned,
Yeah.
all buried on one, one big project as opposed to 4 different jobs, 4 different overheads, 4 different. So it works, it makes perfect sense.
And then we'll also have Article 15 is a capital exclusion, so that's one year for the ADA compliant bathroom at the library. Then we have our CPC articles. We can come back to that because I think Jack was looking for a vote of support on those. Then we have our zoning articles, 17 through 20. That's downtown zoning. It is senior housing, inns, and then an ADU adjustment. And then we have Article 21 is the general bylaw that the planning board submitted to us regarding driveway entrances. Article 22 is our other post-employment benefits. This is probably one of the, I guess, gold star comments that we can make about this year's town meeting is that we are going to be a year ahead of our schedule and pay off OPEB in this current fiscal year versus next.
Maybe we should let you go through it and then add up the logistics and so around to work to hear that now.
Go ahead, yeah.
So, looking at the timing, guessing at the timing, the top balance on both went through the various different financial articles. Do you think getting through the financial articles alone to take a look at all the capital and all the regular financial articles. It's gonna be about 3 hours. That takes us to 9:30. We have, child support, Parks and Rec, be there till 9.
There's plenty of money.
So we're gonna have a certain number of people turn into pumpkins around 9. My thinking was to have all the financial articles as early as possible to maximize the possibility that those folks who probably have the strongest interest in those will have the ability to hang with us to finish them. So I was thinking maybe Article 22 should be bumped up ahead of its own.
Sounds good. I think we can do that, unless there's any.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Unless we put the school budgets to the last item.
And then we have, Article 23 is your standard rec revolving. 24 is the, town-owned parcel, surplusing that was requested to us from Mr. Glovsky. And then we have the 3, citizen petitions.
Is there gonna be a map of that when we get to town meetings so people can see what it is?
Yeah, we got one, when the request was made to us, it was submitted to us, so we'll include that as an appendix in the finance committee book.
Okay, I just wanted,
On the screen too. Can Tiffany take care of that on the screen?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. You sure?
Should we move Article 23, also move Article 23?
Rec revolving?
Yes.
Yeah, we can do that. Certainly. So do you want to go through the capital handout next?
Mhm.
So what we try to do with this is basically look at what the tax bill impact is in the upcoming fiscal year with all these additional decisions that our residents will be making. So we looked at our operating budget and then what we're asking above and beyond our standard Prop 2.5 tax increase. If you look at I guess it's page 3, it's the gray table, and it has fiscal year 27 out to fiscal year 23. These are the different capital items, what their costs are, the term length of the bonds, and what the tax rate impact of them are individually and then in total. If you look at when you're talking about tax bill impact, you can look at tax rate, you can look at tax bill, you can look at it in terms of percentages, you can look at it in terms of dollars. So if you go to the next page, we start to look at it in terms of dollars. So again, for PFAS, all this tax bill impact is based on a $16.5 million cost. But the project is out to bid and we'll know what the true cost of it is a couple weeks before town meeting. So if that cost changes, we will make that adjustment on the floor at town meeting and we'll have an explanation of what that impact is as well. So for 16.5 million, if you look at fiscal year 29, because that's when you start to see, or actually fiscal year 2030, that's when you start to see the full cost impact. That's on a $1 million household, it's a $315 a year impact. The next project is the Rotunda at 2 million. You know, same household, $1 million value. It's a $42 impact. Central Street culvert, hopefully we don't even have to use it. But if we did, it's a $94.50 impact. Dredging, again, the cost of these, you know, dredging and Rotunda may change when we go out to bid with all 4 harbor projects and hopefully get a better price. But if it stays at 1.9, the tax bill impact is $31.50. And Tappan Street is $84, again, for $1 million household. And then we have Essex Elementary in there. Essex Elementary School is not on this year's town meeting, but it is something that we're keeping an eye on as we look at what the tax bill impact is, because we know it's coming. So we have some of the debt in there as well.
So Tony, what about the operational budget? Did I read the other charts correctly that it's a 2% increase this year, or did I read that wrong?
Yeah, that is because the, I wonder if Andrew is on, but I believe the answer to that is because of the capital exclusion being reduced compared to last year. Last year, I think we went out for $600-something thousand, and this year it's only $250.
Yeah.
So when you compare it to last year, it's a 2% increase. And if you look at the next slide, Kathy, this is where your tax rate and tax bill by fiscal year is expressed at the top. And then this coming fiscal year, it breaks down your tax bill impact by government function. So when looking at these numbers, I think it's important to reflect on the previous years as far as the tax rate goes. In FY20 it was $11.70, and it went down to $10.99 in FY21, $10.60 in FY22, $10.43 in FY23, and you see this decrease that continues in 24, 25, 26, up until FY27.
I think the rate is just a way to distribute cost. So I think it's important that we are clear on the taxable, the budget that you're proposing via taxation, whatever the number is, 40 million, whatever it is. A rate is just dependent on the, assessed values, and it's a cost liquidation, technique. That's all. So I think it's important to stay true to the budget and make sure we're, especially if it's a good news story and you're flat, that's great. If it's a slight increase, you got to say that.
Yeah. Well, I think I agree with you. The tax rate is not the only way to explain the story, but I do think it's impressive how the town has tried to, in a way, balance out the rise in value by being conservative in the spending from year to year. And I think that's an important point to make when you're going to town meeting asking for almost $30 million in additional revenue from your tax base. I think that's important to say, is we've tried really hard to keep your tax bill from rising.
Right, but I think the way you do that is by being clear on what your budget is. Because again, anyone's tax bill can fluctuate greatly depending on their assessment, et cetera. So the rate is, again, it's just a distribution of cost. So you got to focus on the budget, and if the taxable budget here is going up by 2%, things are very expensive right now. I think that's a good news story. But I just want to make sure I was reading the charts correctly.
do you have a chart that would have this, but with the borrowing? Because that's I mean, that's a real cost to.
Right.
tax. And that's the question. In other words, I mean, I think costs went up 4% last year, but I know a lot of that was, well, half of that was borrowing.
Oh, wait, we didn't borrow anything.
I borrowed $7 million or something, didn't we? But that hasn't hit yet.
Mainly insurance last year.
Yeah, it's mainly insurance, I guess, but.
Well,
I think it's confusing with his personal.
what I can do, I guess, is if you take,
Well, it's also, yeah, whatever your assessment went up.
You're just confusing with your personal loan you just took out.
I could go out another column here
Yeah,
that would add in the tax bill impact from the page before,
okay.
right?
Yep.
When do we retire the debt from the high school?
Few years.
32, I think.
32.
It significantly decreases. I have my chart here. So this is chart 10 in the back of the book. So I think it's, here it reads FY 37, but it significantly decreases, starting each year FY 27 and onward.
So that,
Just in time for a new building.
yeah, just in time to spend more.
We talked,
That's the time for the DPW.
37, so that's, yeah, so those are 30-year bonds, because that school was 2007.
yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, it's,
yeah, so I think that was bonded
It was bonded early.
immediately.
how was it?
It was bonded when,
Because the cost of money was
because the cost of money was.
pretty good.
We
I
had-
agree that after fiscal year 33, it's a non-issue.
We spoke with Essex and the school about the borrowing approach for Essex Elementary. And there's consensus that you would start with short-term bans, which is a lesser cost impact to your tax base, and then transition into long-term borrowing. And hopefully that will happen as your high school debt is reducing significantly.
So I realize this number you have for Essex Elementary is just a placeholder, but, that's not figuring in any help from the state. That's a straight up cost. What is that?
That number is not enough. That's based on the conversation that we had the other day. But that's not, that the approach here was not including state assistance. What we're looking at, the conversation we had the other day with Essex was based on what is Manchester's true cost, what is Essex true cost?
This is like 2/3. This is a $60 million building about.
Yeah, it's not a $60 million building.
And the number's going up.
But they still have a process to go through.
Yeah.
You know, they're still going through a public process to make some decisions on, you know, which property they're gonna
They
use
don't
and what they're
design
gonna.
at all. So
Yeah.
figuring out what it's gonna cost,
Yeah,
we
it's
don't.
really tough. It's
Right. But the MSBA, they're working with them, so they must have some kind of idea.
At the moment, MSBA is requiring them to follow 3 different paths, all on the current site of the Essex Elementary School. One is repair it to code. One is to renovate and expand, and one is new building. And the cost of those,
Right, fluctuates a little.
yeah, it's a huge range.
So when do they narrow that down to 1?
October. Oh, no, they'll narrow it down to 1. Oh, God, late spring, early summer.
Their hope is that we are having a special town meeting in November to vote on
The final number.
the final numbers. So I would imagine this summer they're gonna.
They're planning on spending the number doing the actual design, so. They're kind of working backward. Yes,
I think that you should be prepared to discuss the kind of scope of those numbers in the annual town meeting, because people will be aware. that
Yes.
This is coming. And they will be evaluating these numbers in the context of that.
Mhm.
And so somebody will know where those numbers are, when you're going to better to discuss this. Somehow in your comments, discuss them.
Okay.
We should have more information in another month.
To that point, what are the handouts that are supporting all of this financial stuff? It's like one of these or two of these grids going to be in there?
They'll all be in the back of the finance.
Okay, fine. All right. So people can put, for
And,
instance,
and we're gonna clean this up.
Sure.
It's gonna be put online as well. So we'll have all this backup information and all our public communication is gonna be on our website as well.
yeah.
The quick question, Tony, just to make sure I understand, the chart that says tax rate and tax bill by fiscal year, tax bill impact by government function. The bottom piece there, that where it says tax bill impact by government function, is that all inclusive? That capital exclusion piece is the piece that will hit everyone's tax bill in FY 2027 because of past voting decisions?
No, that capital exclusion goes, yeah, so for FY 20, that's a 1 year, 1 year tax bill impact. So that FY 26 was 660,000.
Right.
And then it goes down to 250 if passed at town meeting, and passed at the ballot. It goes down to 250. What's not added in here is all those other debt exclusion questions, PFAS, culvert.
Right. So previously, so I'm trying to understand what's in that capital line and what's in the capital exclusion line.
In the capital line is Article 5. So that is road resurfacing, drainage, sidewalk improvements and all of that. What we just added.
Yep.
And then
So-
unless there's anything, in the, if you look at the far right column of Article 5.
Yep.
If that funding source is not taxation, then it's been removed from this analysis of the tax bill impact by government function under capital.
So my suggestion is to have some type of description column which describes what you just verbally communicated. This capital item includes article whatever. Capital exclusion means this. People need to understand if the impact to their tax bill is because of things they're voting on at this town meeting versus prior votes they took that are now coming home to roost.
Are there, I thought we had, we had a 600,000 capital exclusion, 660 last year. That went on this year's tax bill.
Right.
And it's done.
And it's done.
Right.
So
But what,
next year, we're putting the 250 for the library
All right.
as a capital exclusion. So that will be
Right.
paid.
Right. You just go-
Right, so I'm just suggesting a column that says that 250 is article blah, blah, blah for the library, something that's make it easy for people to understand what they're,
Doing to themselves.
Right.
yeah, exactly. This
I don't
is
know.
really hard stuff and we're asking people to absorb a lot of information in a short period of time. So the more that we can help them understand, I think the better off.
yeah, I appreciate that comment, and if you have any other thoughts, let me know. Like I said, this is, we put this together. for
Yeah.
the select board. This is not nearly ready for public consumption yet, but you can see the direction we're heading in, so.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's very helpful. I think the other areas are clear, the function, because those descriptions align what's in Article, was it 4, whatever, the budget. But the capital and capital exclusion lines are a little bit nebulous. It's not as clear which articles they refer to. So that would just be my suggestion.
To the point earlier made, if that grid has Essex Elementary as a line item here, yeah, people are gonna ask.
It's when
That's,
when you're trying to explain what is this project, how's this project gonna affect my bill? There's there's so many different variables involved in that. So for instance, when I'm showing what's the tax bill impact on a $1 million household, that seems easy, but your $1 million household is is now growing in value each year too. So
I think
your
people
tax bill
understand that. They'll
impacts
use
that,
million
but-
as just the baseline and then.
Right, so that, but
What's my
that
house
tax bill
worth, remember?
impact isn't,
Well, I just look at Essex Elementary, and when that hits, that doubles the impact of all of the other items, almost.
Yeah.
And so I see questions coming saying, my increase is, I don't know, $800, say. All right, as soon as that school hits, it just went up to 16, 15 or 16. It's a lot.
it's a lot.
So we may need to, that's why this chart is so good and important, because we may want to make decisions differently in coming years and cut back in some areas or level fund some areas to make room for some of the capital investments we need to make. So having a chart like this helps us have the right conversations with the citizens.
Certainly, and to that point, we're looking at, we're also trying to estimate what our revenues are gonna look like in the coming years as well. And that side of the. CST obviously has is a variable there that
Yeah.
makes a lot of changes. We have, one, potentially two large developments that, who knows if or when those come online. And we're doing away with our OPEB liability, so that changes our
Not only
approach
are we
and
doing away with liability, we were able to use the
the
money
trust.
from the trust to pay what we're currently paying out of operating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have to tell the story, but we are looking at, we're not just looking 5 years back, we're looking 5, 10, 15 plus years forward. Unfortunately, PFAS is really driven by the standards put out by the federal government in their timeframe.
Yeah.
The culvert is really, based on the fact we're trying to avoid some other major issue of that being, shut down to traffic or, God forbid, compromised. The rotunda, same thing, it's one of those items that, how many more winters will it survive? But when you look at the harbor projects, if you read the article that we did in the Cricket, and you look at this tax bill impact, the rotunda, and dredging have a tax bill impact, in addition to the 2.5, but Morse and Reed do not. So for a $1 million house, $42 on rotunda and $31 on dredging, for $73, you're getting 4 projects. So there's some.
It's buy one, get one free.
There's a lot of good work on the grant side there that's helping out.
Is there any chance of grants for the PFAS?
More likely that it comes in the financial assistance comes in the form of long-term, low-interest loans with possible debt forgiveness. But going through the SRF program can also add costs because sometimes it requires American-made products, which adds to the total cost of the project. So the way that the PFAS has been put out to bid is your base bid is non-SRF funding, and the alternate one is if you did have to go through SRF, what would the cost of the project be? So we can make that decision about what makes more sense, whether we borrow on our own really good bond rating, yeah. Credit score. Yeah. Or whether we go through SRF. But they do not commit to debt forgiveness on the front end.
Yes,
So, Article 22, 420,000 for OPEB. Am I, if I'm sure, finding tweaking fact, this is gonna be the last year that this article will be on here?
Correct.
Okay, so, ordinarily, people are gonna use this article, and I was gonna have to pay back for the time for those that have to speak then, but because this thing is gonna be wrapping up, somebody should probably speak to that.
Okay. There was on the revolving accounts as well. I wanted to,
People use that, and the past few years, we haven't really had them design, but just explain it as a pro forma thing because we accepted it and adopted the Massachusetts general law. We have to reestablish the funds each year. Just goes through.
so under the Muni Modernization Act, we can vote on that a certain way this year, that we wouldn't have to vote on it every single year unless we were changing the spending cap. So if the spending cap stays the same, we could vote on it this year to have, that could be one less thing that we have to vote on in the future unless we're changing that cap. Something to chat with you about later on.
If you want to make a particular motion that will put that into effect, that's up to the board to decide what the plan is.
I think we've got enough confusion with where we already are.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
And this just looks like the way it's been every year and just,
You could take care of it.
we can take care of
We can
it
take care of it
Next year again.
next year when there won't be any controversies.
Yeah. Okay.
And then if you want just two other kind of quick things I wanted to do was go through the CPC list. CPC was looking for the select board to do vote on support. Jack, are you on the call? He is.
I am here.
Jack, so this is page 4 of your warrant. At the top. Jack, do you want to just run through the?
Sure. Good evening, everybody. This year we had a budget of available of $612,921. We have spent most of it, as you'll see. For open space and recreation, we've approved $49,100 for community housing, $100,000. Historic preservation, $420,100, of which $350,000 is for the rotunda restoration, and $25,000 of administration funds, which we never spend in a year. Every year we spend about 6 or 7 and return the rest every year. I'll entertain any questions. If anybody has any.
You see the rotunda is one of those.
Yes.
So that 350 will be combined with the debt exclusion. So we have 1.3 million already. Some of that is from CPC, some of that's from town appropriation in the past. So this 350 would add to that 1.3, and then the 2 million would give us enough.
We pay upfront what we've got and then borrow 2 million.
Yep.
Okay.
Ready for a motion? Yeah, I didn't know if anyone had.
Kathy, do you have anything? Thank you.
No,
I move the board support the Community Preservation Committee's projects for 2027.
Second,
Kathy,
yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Anne says yes.
John, yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Great, we rushed through it and,
Very good enough.
okay.
Just the rotunda restoration, it lands in a couple of different articles across the board.
Mhm.
I am going to almost certainly find a key spot to say that, to try to drag all of the discussion about the rotunda into one article. So we don't get to the successive articles that have rotunda stuff, and then
Mhm.
we'll already have that.
Okay, so you want
We'll
to,
be litigating it.
you want, obviously, you need to do that in Article 16. The CP, which is the first place it comes up.
No,
No.
They come up in the financials,
right, so Article 12,
Okay, right.
we could
Sorry.
move that.
No,
Yeah, Article 12 is a good place for that.
When you discuss Article 12, and we talk about the 2 million, also raise the point that there's an additional 350,000 from the CPC funding. So if anybody has any comments they want to make about it or discussion about it, the discussion about that item out of the CPC, the impact, the financial impact of town to be, should be incorporated into Article 12, political, social perspective. So that when we get to Article 17, we're not gonna have the conversation over again about the time.
yeah.
I hope you have a gavel.
You can borrow yours.
All right, and then I provided an updated packet of the operating budget and the changes. If you go to page 57, this is the sanitation is probably the biggest cost impact that we're facing this year, and we will continue to face in the coming years. Of course, health insurance is on that list as well. We're looking on health insurance, we're looking at like a 15% increase compared to the 20, that we were originally thinking. And when the last time we looked at this, the school budget number hadn't come down yet. That has come down significantly to fit within our balanced budget. But as you can see, our services, our contract services has gone up about $280,000. And we are being essentially pushed to automated collection. All haulers are trying to go that way. So there's one person on the truck versus 2. So right now, we bring in about $300,000 in revenue through the sale of bags. With uniform barrels, that is going to be reduced significantly.
Because they're not gonna check to see if there's a bag inside that.
Right.
I don't care.
So, we're not gonna go to uniform barrels starting July 1st. But we're gonna have to by next year. So we're gonna have.
So Tony, is that just for trash, or does that include recycling?
Recycling will be in a bin as well, but you don't put it in a bag, just right into the bin.
No, I'm asking if because some towns which do the standardized trash bins for trash also have standardized bins for recycling. And so I'm asking if that's the path we're on.
Yeah, we're on the path of doing both.
So the barrels are both kind of identical. They're coming around twice, once to pick up the trash and another one to pick up the recycling, which is what they do now. But the barrels, they're using the same kinds of trucks, so I assume the barrels are identical.
Well, no, they'll actually invest in a different truck that has
Oh, okay.
like a robotic arm that picks it up and dumps it into the back.
So both the recycling one and the trash one will have the
Arms,
truck with an arm that picks it up and dumps it in the truck.
That's what, yeah, that's. what
but
we're
they're
told.
different barrels. I'm just wondering
Yeah,
what the
what
consumer's
would-
dealing with. All right.
Well, yeah, probably different colors.
Yeah.
They're usually different colors or,
Sizes, even different sizes.
Well, it's all bridged across appropriate time. Is this 280? That's not a net number. That's just what the cost is for the contract. The orange bags are on top of that, which is a further negative.
No, we actually, we make.
I know that, but 280, this is for the budget here.
Mhm.
And the orange bags show up on the revenue side. That's not here.
Right,
So, and that's what, 300 and something?
300 something.
So this is a swing of $500,000.
Not this year, but
Well, yeah, I understand.
so there's cost saving.
Well, we could do things to charge. There's no reason that we have to go to trash is free.
right,
We change.
No,
Right,
right. Other towns that I'm aware of, they send people a bill. I don't know if it's once a quarter or twice a year or something for the privilege of having their trash picked up.
yeah, we could add a fee to our utility bill.
That's something that the select board and the finance committee can discuss at length after the town meeting.
Yes.
yeah,
Right.
Yes, certainly. But I just want you to be aware, this is this is, in some ways, this cost increase is a right sizing of our contract. That my understanding is pre-Republic, it was JRM. They held on to that contract and they didn't increase the rates on an annual basis. We've had a very good deal. And then
And now we've got Republic.
and now our contract, well, we have a new contract and,
Yep.
I'm sure there's also an impact to these numbers from the union negotiation that they did at the
Mhm.
beginning of this, in July
Mhm.
to September.
Did we get reimbursed for the time that we spent picking up our own trash?
I'll have to get back to you on that. I know, they sent us a bill
Mhm.
for the cost of services that they did provide. We paid a bill, we made a payment that was less than that and factored in
Hmm.
our costs, and I believe they accepted our payment.
Okay,
So I think the answer is yes, but I don't think it was ever,
you kind of,
it was kind of one of those, if you cash the check, you can't come back and
Yeah.
talk to me again, yeah. So yeah, we have a big thing to look at in the upcoming year, as you look at the impacts next year, so. So that's it, that's,
okay, so what we've decided is to move all the money articles up ahead of all of the zoning articles.
mhm.
And some discussion about what things we need to speak to and when we'll speak to them. I think otherwise the warrant looks pretty much fine.
what's the over under on getting through this in one night?
Yeah, that's what I was. So one other quick logistics thing, at some point you guys should be giving me your movers and seconders on the motions.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
I can
Yep.
Automate that process. Over under on doing it in one night. So it does depend on the zoning and the citizen petition articles. We kind of, I have to have some more discussions to get a sense of how long it's gonna take to go through, but with 5 zoning articles, we're figuring an hour to get through those. And then there are the citizen petition articles, one of which at least is likely to take some time. Optimistically, 20 minutes to get through all of the citizen petition articles. So an hour and a half, if we're lucky to get through the stuff after the finance stuff. The finance stuff would take us, if the estimates of 3 hours are kind of accurate, out to 9:30. And then the rest would take us out to around 11 o'clock. In past years, Alan has said that if he feels confident that we can finish up at around 10, he'll drive for Art to do that. But if he's gonna go past 10, then he would be inclined to adjourn the meeting to the next evening. Because 3.5, 4 hours of meeting time, people start to get pretty tired, and as trying to address complicated issues after that, it's challenging. So it's 50-50 whether or not we really get through this, and we should, given that there's a lot of capital that's going to be discussed. These discussions could go long. It could go really relatively short, but I've never seen this much capital on a warrant, neither has Alan. So it would be wise for us to make sure that we have the ability to go to a second night. I'll try hard to avoid it, but that capital is a lot.
Is the school aware that we may need,
This is the school aware that
we may need their gymnasium for another day?
I did not want to pull the trigger on that unilaterally without first talking to you folks about that, because I got different feedback about, I was really thinking this morning, going back and forth on it. Different people have different opinions about whether or not we need a second night. So before I said, hey, the sky is falling, and told the school, we need the gymnasium for a second night.
You don't have to tell them that we need it. You need to tell them, or someone needs to tell them that we may need it.
Yes.
So that they don't plan something important there.
Kids bring the lunches.
If you
Have the kids
folks
bring the
are
lunches.
if you folks agree with this assessment of the situation, then tomorrow we'll go ahead. Talk to the school. I'm sure
That they're aware that this could happen.
I already talked to Bob Moffett, and he's gonna present 2 proposals, one for 1 night, one for 2 nights.
Is he the one who didn't bill us?
What's that?
Okay. Maurice nodding. We had a significantly overdue bill for the audiovisual in the gymnasium.
Oh, well, he seemed perfectly.
Oh, he didn't. He didn't submit a bill to us for 2 years.
Oh.
That's on him.
Yes, we have a couple prior year bills.
Yeah, that's how big are those, by the way?
I didn't, how much, do you remember what Andrea said Thursday night?
I thought they were under $2,000.
Yeah, they
total.
usually are.
Pretty small.
So
It's more
that,
the mechanics.
so this is an annual town meeting, so that'll be like a 4/5.
Yeah.
Do you agree with the kind of risk assessment that we floated 2 days on this?
Yeah.
I'd rather have them and not use it than all of a sudden. And if you're concerned that's 50-50, that's good enough to tell them potential exists. I don't want to be there for 2 days.
No.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be there till 11:30 or 12.
No, so that's why in part I wanted the funding articles to be up front, because what would happen if we do feel like we're gonna go that way, when we hit the end of the funding, we'll adjourn.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll pretty much guarantee a quorum for the next night.
Right, yeah, I was gonna say.
Provide a nice separation between mindset of dollars, mindset of zoning.
I like it.
I'm hearing a lot of so I think you've got our consensus.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of other little logistics questions, but they're not really for you guys. Yep, I think I'm good.
Thank you.
Oh, Yeah, let me know to what degree any of you are gonna want to speak on the citizen petition. Oh, and everybody's getting 2 minutes like it was, except for the opening comments and the finals.
Well, we're trying to get as much information out there as possible on all these capital articles. Via informational sessions, cricket articles, websites, social media posts, and
Yep.
hopefully. Hopefully that helps, with the
I
discussion.
think it probably will. I think that you're still gonna see some shock when the warrant arrives and people realize, numbers like, as they see the individual ones, like, oh yeah, we gotta do the attendant, oh yeah, we gotta do this. Yeah, do some stuff.
Yeah.
I think we've done a good job telling them $100 million over the last couple of years.
On the one hand, they'll know what's going on. And on the other hand, they'll know what's going on.
Yeah. Had that the same sort of conversation in a startup company when we introduced some technology that we want to tell somebody. Explain it to the end of the meeting, the guy one way and the other guy said, well, the good news is he knows what we're doing. And the bad news is he knows what we're doing. Yep.
Is it? Yeah, if you could keep your papers, so they'd be a whole lot better. Okay, I think we've handled all 3 parts of the annual meeting, and then we're going into the boring part where we talk about our liaison and consent agenda. And you are welcome to stay.
I'm gonna go make a martini.
Wise decision. Thank you all. Yep.
See you soon.
Oh, my.
Someone's gonna come back for that.
I hope not. Okay, moving on. Liaison updates. Jeff.
Planning board had their public hearing of the 22 Union, the cargo building for permitting conditions and special permit. That was all approved. So that's on to, I guess, the historic commission for a final.
Well, there's a report on that.
Okay, well, we'll let you handle that. And then they went through all their zoning articles, which I won't go over because we just went through all that. Harbor Advisory had some early discussion about dredging. And Area 7 mooring expansion. Discussion on that. Looks like maybe 30 more out there, possibly. I don't think that's a definite number, but it's kind of a broad. What else we got? Essex Tech, we had our budget hearing last week and our budget passed, so the number you see is the number you're gonna get. And I spent a couple of nights up there last week with the policy subcommittee doing the handbooks and the student handbook and the employee handbook for next year. So that's all set, and that's about it.
Not really much of anything. Parks and Rec had their fundraiser on Saturday night, right?
Saturday night.
And,
Be there or be square.
yeah, John was
There.
tearing up the floor. It was successful too. I think that with all the sponsorships, Cheryl was quite happy with the amount of money they brought in. Beyond that, I've got nothing. Their meeting is Wednesday night, so that's all I've got on that. Nothing's changed on the other boards. I haven't.
Yeah.
So I'm done.
Kathy?
Bike and Ped and Downtown Improvement are meeting later this week, so I don't have anything on them. We did have a meeting with the Little Tree Policy group, Ruth Fitzgerald, Jody Morris and myself. And we have come up with some changes to the tree policy that we'll be ready to bring forth to the select board right after the town meeting. One of the items we'll be recommending is that we temporarily at least remove the concept of a heritage tree from the policy because we have no current way of enforcing the tree policy when the trees are on private property. So, it was actually a recommendation, I believe, from Friends of Trees that we remove that concept and then engage the public in a conversation on what to do with important trees that are on private property. Whether we need a bylaw, et cetera. So like I said, we'll be ready to talk more about this after town meeting. And that's it.
John?
Yeah, just really the Historic District Commission, as Jeff had mentioned, it moved through the planning board, and the Historic District Commission met on Thursday and also voted yes. I think that's the last commission they have to be in front of, and they are set to go. And their next step, I think, is they have to knock the building down by June 19th. Because once you get into the summer, they're not able to, they won't be allowed to do that. They'll have no flexibility. They could if they're not going to do anything until the fall sometime. But they have I think a deadline of June 19th to do the demolition. So that's where they're at. There'll be closures dealing with that. I don't know how long it'll take.
Couple days is what I was told.
Okay, yeah. But the design, the Historic District Commission is good with the Empire design and the way it looks with three townhouses that are there. So that's set. No comments from the seniors unless Tony's going to make something. And the DPW, no, everything's going along okay. Those guys couldn't come up with anything that sounded interesting. The library is quiet right now. No pun intended.
The Finance Committee has been busy, but you've seen everything they've done. The schools have their final budget, so the meetings are now about educational philosophy and things that are important, but don't affect the town directly. And the Board of Health. I have a personal concern that they are not taking best advantage of a grant that we got as a result of joining with Gloucester. And I don't know what to do. They're being very cautious and paying people to show them how they will be able to continue whatever they do after the grant is ended. And I worry that they'll spend more of the grant figuring out what to do when it goes than they will. They are doing some major digitalization of old records. There's a consulting company that's doing that. And that will be a very good thing. So that's it. So consent agenda.
Can we pull B out of the consent agenda? Reason being is I'm on a board that has a sign at the Little League field, so I'm going to recuse myself there.
Okay.
Anything else? This is so pulling out which one? This is B. Yeah. Okay.
Leaguers? You don't like little leaguers?
No, but
Okay. Yeah.
it's I feel I have a conflict there, so I want to just.
Mr. Ralph, you have a.
I can make a motion to move the select board approve the consent agenda A, C, D, and E.
Second. Kathy,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Anne says yes.
John, yes.
I move that we approve Item B, the request replacement of banners in Sweeney Park.
Second.
Kathy,
Yes.
Jeff,
Recusing myself.
Brian,
Yes.
Anne says yes.
John, yes.
Okay. Very good. New administrator's report.
I'll keep it quick because we kind of talked a lot about what's been on my plate for the last 2 weeks. The police chief position is posted. That we had, believe it or not, we've already started July 4th, 3rd and 4th prep and had a meeting with, all the important folks to talk about some of the logistics there. Like I said, I had a really good discussion with the Masons regarding the condo docks. We had a good discussion with Manchester Essex Regional School District about Essex Elementary Finance, and our big to-do out of that is to decide whether we're gonna be, whether we want to do a November town meeting on that question. Essex by bylaw has their special town meeting on November 16th. And then the ballot vote would probably be the second week in December. So we have to decide, we gotta let them know in the next 2 weeks whether we want, whether we're gonna follow that same schedule.
Whether we want to have it the day after or a day before Essex,
Or the same day.
or the same day in the school, people.
Have to bounce back and forth.
Yeah.
We don't have to decide that. Well, I guess we do have to decide that today.
I mean, it'd be, I guess if there's any comments from the board, it'd be good to hear while we're here, I guess, if you have any thoughts on a November special town meeting.
We're gonna have enough other stuff to throw in there to make a meeting.
Do you mean if we're gonna have other stuff to add to it?
Yeah, I mean, can we really make our best use of this?
We can find some stuff, right?
Well, you have the short-term rental thing that we might have ready by then. And things have a tendency to show up. Kathy, any thoughts?
I mean, it depends on what we need to accomplish. If we need to accomplish something, we should have a meeting. If it's something that can wait, we shouldn't. So I guess I'm not sure what would be on the agenda.
Just at least the school and. I don't see how we can avoid having a meeting for the school funding.
No, I'm just thinking of other things we can.
Well, by then we may have, one thing we haven't talked about yet is we may have a short-term rental bylaw that we need to put forward to the vote.
And the other thing is, we just don't know where the senior center is.
Right. So,
So
let's pick a date.
but we'll know by that time.
So
So the 16th is when?
what kind of day is the 16th?
It's gonna be a lovely day.
In November.
It looks like it is a Monday night.
Okay,
It's the third Monday in November.
So it's on our meeting night.
Yeah.
Kill two birds, one stone.
Yeah, we could.
Go with that.
My feeling is it'd be better to have it simultaneous with Essex. And we can find out in the morning.
The folks from the school had no issue with that. They said, we'll split up. We'll bring a couple people to Essex and a couple people to Manchester's town meetings. And we'll be able to speak on them. So
It's good, then we're done.
it's better than, it is, if one town goes first and isn't successful, the
Then you don't-
second town is going
Nowhere.
going nowhere. Yeah. So why not just do it the same?
Well, we kind of know where they're going. They're gonna send the A team over here.
Well, we're carrying the brunt of this
I
thing.
thought we are, yeah.
It's interesting though, is that if we, I was thinking about this, if we decide, if they're gonna decide to go to option 3 and build on site,
Mhm.
where are they gonna put the kids? Go out during construction? They're gonna
They
bring them
have,
here?
they have one design that puts the school adjacent.
Okay.
Just like our high school arranging.
No, I'm just thinking of a sense, well, if we can put the kids over in Manchester while they're building it, why don't we just leave them there all the time?
I think they were taking down one wing or something. That was a
No, I just-
discussion of meeting 6 months ago.
No, it worked for
Bring
the
it
high
up.
school, worked well for the high school, so I can see it.
Yeah,
around there.
Since they don't have even the scope of the design decided.
No, I was just
Yeah.
spitballing there.
Yeah.
I mean, do we think this is really gonna be ready to go by November?
The school and Essex, I would say, are very eager to make sure that it's ready for November.
And Andy Olderman at the finance committee, he's on the Essex School Building Committee. He said he thought they could do it.
And that's why, so MSBA sticks to a very strict schedule, as you know. That's why they want our answer as to whether we're okay with a November special town meeting in the next 2 weeks, because then that's gonna initiate a schedule that puts them ready for a November special town meeting. They technically, they have until their spring annual town meeting to take the vote based on the MSBA schedule. But they want an additional bite at the apple, so to speak.
They'd like to get it done soon, so that if there's a problem.
We can take it up again in the spring.
I mean, I'm not saying it can't happen, I'm concerned because to not have a design at this point seems pretty far behind.
That meeting, they obviously have a design, they will have numbers, not a bid.
Yeah.
Well, they won't have bids necessarily. They'll just have estimates based upon the design. Okay.
And they will have a campaign to let people know why this is an excellent idea and it should be supported.
It's a lot of stuff.
Changing the subject slightly. We need to have a meeting between now and the 1st of April. The 5th Monday in March is the 30th. This room is available.
Oh, so maybe we do our special meeting for the warrant on the 30th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kathy? Were you planning to be in Aruba?
No. No, I'll be here.
You would want 6:30?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can probably remember it next time.
Yeah, that's right. Okay,
Do I have a motion?
Motion to
To
adjourn.
adjourn? Yes, you do.
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
shut her down.
thank you.
Yep.
Everybody.
Proclamation.
Yes, yes.